Was poppin', was poppin', was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And on this episode of Nicky and Moose, we have a very, very special guest. Off top, it's the real life of a content creator. Okay.
Yeah.
We personally know this gentleman as just part of the community to now a top YouTube creator, from having a 9-to-5 to helping other people make content to now making skits and having merch and all this. I'm saying too much. Moose, tell them who we talking about and what you think about this episode.
The one and only, he didn't know, he said, don't dress up the name, but for me, it's like a YouTube sensation. You know what I'm saying? Big in the making. Darryl Mayes, man. We got Darryl Mayes on this episode. Super excited for this one. And let's get into it.
Let's get into this intro.
2 kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
So, without further ado, let's just get our guy on here and let's just have this conversation of content creation journey, okay? Darryl!
What's happening? What's going on, y'all? I appreciate y'all. First of all, that intro will forever be hard. I love that intro, y'all. That intro is hard, y'all.
But I
appreciate y'all for having me on here, man. I feel like I'm doing something special to be on here. For real.
You kind of are. You kind of are. We got to have our notes up. We got to have our subscribers up like you. Wow. What are you talking about?
Yeah, for real.
We got to have these conversations.
We got about 990,000 more to go. So, we get in there. We're almost there.
Talk about it.
Y'all killing it, though. Y'all killing it, man. Y'all killing it, truly. Y'all really are.
Listen, we just trying to be like you. But first and foremost, let's do it this way, right? Let's do it this way. I know, and Moose could tell his story. I met Darryl in Breed University, right? Yep. And just great energy. And I want you to really break down, where in the world did you come from? Like, how did we get here? Because I remember you one way, and then I saw the skits. I was like, oh, these are dope, right? And you would put them in BU, right? Some with the curses, some with not. I remember, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're like, I don't have time for this person. I got to create on my own. And then you just became really big. I was like, where did this happen? So, can you just break down like that journey? Because I want to know myself.
Okay. Do you want? So I talk a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know that off top. So do you want like the long version? Or you want me to just like kind of go straight into it, or like how you want it?
However you feel like telling your story. This is your narrative.
Okay, bet. All right. So basically, the way it happened was I started in BU. I was making beats, right? So my original plan was I wanted to be a music producer. That was my original thing. I was making beats. I was just doing my thing in that lane. And then what ended up happening was I wanted to like learn how to sell my beats, right? So what happened was I was posting on YouTube, and I remember at the time when like people would make beats on YouTube, they would just have like a simple picture with like some music behind it. And that was just boring to me. And I've always been like super creative. So I was like, I want to figure out a way to make beats and sell beats, but it'd be enticing, it'd be entertaining. So what I started doing was, and I thought it was a creative idea at the time until I found out about like retention and all that stuff. I used to do what I call turn up with me's, where I would play a beat and I would just sit in the chair and I would just turn up. And that's what I had in BU. That's what BU was. BU was, I would post those videos where I'd make a beat and then I would just sit in the chair, dance to it. So what ended up happening was, long story short, it got to a point where, man, the videos just stopped making sense. They stopped making sense. It was like, I remember this one video I had where I was dancing to a beat and I was standing on this like white wall and I had like this black trench coat on with some black shades and it just made no sense. I was like, yo, this is kind of crazy. And I was like, yo, I'm not doing this no more. So what happened is I started making like skits around the beats. And the reason was because I used to watch Reggie Cuz, in my opinion, was one of the funniest comedy skit makers, YouTubers in the game, period. And so I was like, yo, and I've always been like immersed in this like world of comedy. Like I grew up on the Bernie Mac show, on Everybody Hates Chris, on Kings of Queens. I grew up on like comedy. All I watched was comedy. That's all I cared about was comedy, just laughing. And so I was like, yo, I'm gonna just make skits around the beats. And I started doing that. And then it got to a point where people was like, yo, like the beat is okay, but the video is funny. You can cut that beat out. And I was like, for real? Like I'm trying to sell music. Y'all want me to cut the beat out? And I was like, all right, bet. So I made a video on my channel saying, yo, I'm stopping with the beats. I'm gonna do comedy skits. And that was beginning of 2018. And ever since then, I've been making comedy skits, man. And this is like a side story. So you mentioned how you were like, I started, sometimes they would have cursing in them, sometimes they wouldn't. And what that was is it's so weird. Like I grew up in this place where I was always the quote unquote good kid, kind of sort of, to where like whatever like grown folks told us as far as oh yeah, you shouldn't curse and you should be this way. Like I was like that. And so I was doing it for other people, but really, in my opinion, this is gonna come up a few times. If you find her an active thing, just ignore it. I don't know how to turn it off. But but anyway, so yeah, it was like I always thought, and this is just my personal opinion, because I grew up again on Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, Kings of Comedy. I always thought that like certain words make a joke funnier, and certain words just fit. Or I can say, "Boy, sit your butt down," or I can say, "Boy, sit your." It's just a different vibe. And so I was like, yo, I really want to be funny, be entertaining. So I just kind of like adjusted while still being comfortable in who I am. So that's the longer version. But yeah, so I went from making beats to comedy skits, and that is what I do full time.
I love it.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. Nah, but there's a level of obedience in that though, because right, like your passion was music. You wanted to be a producer, trying to sell the beats, and it's like, okay, it's time to switch. Like, what was going through your mind? Was there a little bit of like, I don't know if I should be doing this, or it's like, oh, whatever. I just want to do it for fun. Like, did you think it would be what it is now? You know what I'm saying? A couple 100,000, nearly 1 million subscribers later. Yeah, nah.
So really, honestly, the truth is what happened was when I started making skits around the beats, it got to a point where it was weird because I would have these great ideas for funny videos and I would say, yo, this would be hilarious. But then I'd be like, dang, I got to put a beat in there and it's going to mess up the video. So I'm like, dang. So I was already thinking anyway, like, yo, I want to figure out how I can. Because at this point, like I've always been creative. I've always been like this creator in terms of like, I want to be able to tell funny stories. So to think about it like, yo, I got this funny idea in my mind, but I got to put a beat in it. And then it's going to mess up the vibe of the video. So it wasn't really a hard transition. It was more like, yo, I'm going to just cut these beats out. and it's as simple as that. And I'm going to just keep making like funny, because in all honesty, what I do now is exactly what I was doing 10, 15 years ago. Like I was making little comedy skits for my friends and sending it to people randomly, just jokingly. I used to buy like bucket hats and fake chains, and I would like make little rap parodies and send them to my friends just as jokes. So literally y'all getting me. Like I've been doing this since like I was little. So it just made sense now to say, let me just take it serious and like put comedy skits online. And I didn't care what people thought. It was like, yo, you either gonna like it or you not. I'm gonna have fun. You know what I'm saying? So
love it.
He's gonna have fun. You know what I mean?
Just gonna have fun.
All right, let's talk about the very first video that you were like, oh snap, this is working. Hold on. What was it? How long did it take? Like I want all the details. Like, did it take 4 hours? Did it take 30 minutes and you didn't understand? Like, talk to us about this.
So that's a very weird question, right? And the reason it's weird for me is because I've never been the guy who was like motivated by numbers and stuff like that. Never been that guy, right? So what I'll say is I've been on YouTube creating content. My first video went up in 2011. That was my first ever video. And my channel didn't quote unquote pop off until 2021. So I'm talking about 10 straight years of just like having fun, going through them, like just making videos because I wanted to make them, right? The first time I knew that this thing was working though, I'm gonna kind of break it into two parts. The thing that I saw that was working for me is when I realized that, and this is what like advice I give to like creators now, is I think we don't always understand our value, because in my mind, I'm just making comedy skits. In my mind, I'm just like, yo, I'm just out here being stupid. I'm just making funny little videos with Pop's characters, and I got mechanic characters and just having a good time. Whereas I get people who message me and be like, yo, like, I deal with suicidal thoughts and depression and all these things, and your videos help me cope. Like I had this one kid message me and was like, yo, I had a terrible day at school and I came home, my mom and dad beat me and I'm in the bed right now crying, and I was watching your video and I started laughing and now I feel better. And to me, that was more important than like, yo, these numbers and stuff. It's never been about numbers to me. It's just more, I have fun with what I'm doing. And I think that's why before we started recording, we were talking about like why I like, you know, I'm building a team now, but it's hard for me to let go of the editing piece because I thoroughly enjoy what I do. So for me to let it go would be losing this piece of fulfillment that I get in creating content. So so that was the first piece. The first piece was like when I found out it was working was before the channel even took off. This was maybe 2,000-3,000 subscribers, like just having a good time, enjoying myself, and then people send me those messages. The first video that popped off and went viral for me was so this is another piece of advice for people who don't really know. So the way I look at it is these social media platforms don't like each other, right? They constantly fight for attention. You got TikTok competing with YouTube, YouTube competing with Instagram, and TikTok was like blowing up at the time. TikTok was like getting massive, right? And so you had Instagram come out with Reels, you had Facebook having their own thing, you got YouTube came out with something called YouTube Shorts, and it was in beta. So knowing what I know now, I'm like, yo, if they're promoting this new feature and they're like trying to compete with TikTok, then obviously if you were to jump on this, not trend, but jump on this new feature, they're going to be promoting it. So the first short I ever did, the first YouTube short I ever did was called If You Were Honest With Her Parents. And that's a series now that has just taken off. People loved it, If You Were Honest. That was the first video I ever did, and it went stupid viral. It went like in a week, it had like 1.5 mil, and it was just climbing and climbing. And I was so nervous. I was like, yo, I don't even want to touch it. Because you know how like something start doing good, and you're like, I ain't going to post nothing. I ain't going to do nothing. And then I sat down with one of my boys. So and another piece, important piece of being a creator is make sure you got people around you who know what they're talking about and they can see things in a way that you can't. One of my boys sat me down, shout out to Two Socks Productions, mentored me in this YouTube game. He was like, yo, like we sat down and looked at my analytics one day, and he was like, yo, you getting like 30 million views a month off of this one video. And I'm like, yo, like for real? He's like, yo, what you need to do is do a 30-day challenge where you go and you just post a short every single day. And I was like, I bet. And then, so I did it, and we was able to grow from like 35, because that video got me like 35K subscribers. And we went from 35 to 100 in like a couple months, 100 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. And then we hit a mil. And it was strictly we hit a mil within a 9-month period off of simply posting shorts. And so, and it was really off of, and mind you, now this is weird for me because I'm a long form content creator. Most of my videos before this were like 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. But what I had to realize is that when you scrolling through TikTok and Instagram and even YouTube, you gotta have digestible content. You can't just have 10 minutes of a video because everybody ain't got time like that. But people be checking Instagram at the light, you know what I'm saying, in the car. Right. So you gotta be careful not to like, you gotta be careful like when people are scrolling, they just scrolling. So it was a difficult transition for me to go from 6-7 minute videos to 30 seconds to a minute. But when I found out that was the sauce, like people loved it, I was like, yo, this might be something. Like this might really be something. So I kind of went off track and lost the question, but that's but yeah.
So, well, kind of what happened was.
Yeah, but what happened was, you know, but yeah, so the first time I knew it was working was the messages I get about people dealing with suicidal thoughts and depression. And then as far as numbers and pop off was 11 years after I started. That's when.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. That's incredible because, like, to a lot of people watching from the outside, they might be like, wow, you blew up so quick. No. Not recognizing that you had a decade, right? More than a decade, it seemed like, of that same thing. Just trial and error, pursuing your passion and making it work, which is really cool. What were some business lessons that you learned along the way now? So, like, okay, this stuff starts happening, like, it's accelerating really quick. you got into it not to make money, it seems. Like you got into it because this is what you enjoyed to do. You wanted to make people laugh. You were doing it genuinely. At what point did you realize, okay, hold up, I got to start thinking about this a little bit more outside of just me making something funny and posting it? When did that happen?
Yeah, so actually it's funny because I started the journey of, so what I had to learn in this whole blow up period of my channel taking off was I had to learn the transition from a creator to a business. I had to learn that because I was so used to like being a content creator, just like creating content, that I was completely neglecting the business side. Like there's a quote I think that goes, I was focusing, like I was so much focused in the business that I wasn't focused on the business. Something like that. I don't know exactly how it goes, but it's something along those lines to where I was just creating, not thinking about taxes, not thinking about the fact that I'm not being productive, not thinking about my workflow. So the biggest lesson that I learned in this whole business, or one of the biggest lessons, was that I think this may come from so for people who don't know, I've never met my father, don't know him, don't know his name, don't know what he looked like, none of that. And it was just me, my mom, and my brother growing up. And so I was always, quote unquote, the man of the house. So I've always been independent, always been the one who, if something was broken in the house, I fixed it. If it was anything that needed to be repaired, it was me. Like when it came to, like when I got my first car at like 18, I was taking it to the grocery store. I was buying. So I've always been super independent. So when it came into business, I had to realize I don't have to do everything. And so what's dope is, and this is just like a story example, right? So, and this is why it's important to have good friends. So the first time when I first got into YouTube and my channel was moving, I started making merch, right? And I made this merch that I thought was so dope. It was so fire at the time. I'm like, yeah, I hand drew it on my tablet and I was killing it, right? Last month, well, not even last month, maybe at last year sometime, one of my boys FaceTimed me, again, shout out to Socks Productions, FaceTimed me, was like, yo, I'm at the laundromat and these kids are wearing your hoodies. And he's like, yeah, like, so he FaceTimed me. I got to talk to the kids, a dope experience. Like, yo, I appreciate y'all support, love, and all that. And after they left, he told me, he was like, yo, bro, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. This merch is trash. And I was like, dang. He told me straight up, like, yo, this merch is trash. And I'm like, but I didn't get offended because I knew, like, this isn't my area of expertise. I just made it because I was told that, like, YouTube, of course, you want to have different streams of revenue. You don't just you don't just lean on AdSense, right? So that started a whole thing for me to where now I got a designer who handles all of my merch stuff. And I just got the pieces in like yesterday and we're revamping this whole merch thing. But anyway, the whole meaning of this story is I had to learn that I don't have to do this by myself. I've been doing everything by myself, from editing to filming to like whenever I make my little parody rap songs, I be mixing and mastering tracks in here. I be downloading GarageBand and FL Studio and putting beats together. And it's like, I don't have to do that. You don't like, even if you don't have the quote unquote resources, you got resources like Fiverr. You got resources like if you got a little nephew who in school, pay him $20 a month to just respond to your comments on Instagram. Like, it just frees your time. Like, your time is the most important thing. And that's what I had to learn. So I'm still learning. I'm still in that transition of going from creator to business. And it's a tough transition because there's a lot of mindset shifts that take place. And again, that's why it's important to have people around you who know what they're talking about and who can speak into your life in different ways. So again, I'm talking a lot, but yeah, that was the biggest business lesson I've learned as of recently. Is just like, you don't have to be solo dolo all the time. You can get a team. You can get people to help you.
That's good.
You said the key words. Multiple streams of income from creating content. Let's talk about it. Okay, so break down to the people, based off your experiences, what are the different streams just being a content creator, and which one have you seen the most money from? Okay, that's the important part. Like we want to know how you making this money, like, and what does that actually look like? Because some people, what I love about like YouTube creators, they literally are super transparent about like, okay, I got $100 this month. Okay, now it went to 3,000. Okay, now it's woo woo woo. And with your growth with YouTube Shorts, like, I don't think that's ever really been broken down from a content creator standpoint of what does that really look like from a monetizing standpoint. So if you can break down the multiple streams and, you know, what does that look like for you?
For sure. So one, I'm open and transparent. It's probably not a good thing, but I'm very open, so I don't mind sharing whatever. So first thing I'll say is the thing I quickly learned is that shorts content, for people who don't know, when it comes to YouTube shorts and TikTok and stuff like that, well, specifically YouTube shorts are meant more so for reach and engagement. Shorts don't pay that much. Shorts probably pay me, now granted, it's a lot of money to some people. Shorts probably pay me like $2,000 a month, which is a lot of money for some people. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of money. But compared to the other streams, it's not a lot. They pay maybe $2,000 a month, depending on how often you post. And there's some people who make way more than that. But for me anyway, and the way that I post, that's what I make off of YouTube shorts only, right? So the different streams you got YouTube AdSense revenue. And again, totally transparent. The most I've made off of YouTube ad revenue is like $50,000 in a month, which is amazing. $50,000 in a month off of YouTube AdSense revenue.
First of all, you're not gonna speed past that. You can just say what you just said.
No.
Yikes.
No, you're not going.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, my bad.
Rewind.
Yeah.
Say that a little. Say that for the people.
Slower.
Yeah, say that slower for the people in the back.
My bad. So yeah, the most I've made off of YouTube, the biggest I've seen thus far is $50,000 in a month. Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah. So that's
what
been
the reaction like?
You said what?
What was that reaction like? What was the reaction like? You know what I'm saying? You just open up 50, like,
Yeah, we gotta know.
Yeah. You know what it is? Honestly, it's weird because I feel like I'm still living in this phase of like I don't know what's happening. So it's like I'll see things like again, and I posted on my Instagram. I just bought my dream car. I just bought a Tesla Model 3, right? And
I was gonna ask, did Elon pay for that, or how did that work out? You know,
I wish you to pay for it. but the crazy part is like these like blessings, I call them, they're coming in and they're so dope. But I don't allow myself to sit in them for too long. Like I don't allow myself to get to this place where I'm comfortable. Or I feel like I've accomplished this month. Now I do allow myself to be grounded and be like, I've reached this point. I'm so thankful for the people who support, thankful to my friends, my family, God, all these things. But when I saw like the 50 or whatever, it was more like, man, like this is cool. Like this is dope. But it's like, I feel like I still haven't really experienced like this high of like, but I think it's a good thing because I don't want, like, I got a friend who tells me that she loves but hates that I'm so humble. And it's not even by choice. I'm naturally like, I don't get too high on my own. I don't drink my own Kool-Aid. I just do what I do. I enjoy creating content.
You don't get high on your own supply. It's all right.
I
knew where you were going. I know where you were going.
I was looking for it. You got it. Yeah. So
I don't want people to think I'm over here. You know,
I don't want them to think I'm cracked out. But
yeah, my bad. I was looking for it. So yeah, I don't get high on my own supply. So yeah, it's like I really feel like I haven't felt it yet. The one time I felt it was the first YouTube check I ever got that was like pretty good money. It was like $6,000. And I remember I was in the car and I was counting it because I used to move my money from bank to bank physically. And I was counting it and I started crying. I was like, what's going on right now? Because it was like just a row of hundreds. And I was just like, what in the world, bro? So that was the first time I actually felt it. But I think maybe if the $50,000 was cash, it'd have been different. Maybe I'd have laid it down on the bed and rolled around. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So I mean, yeah. I feel like I still haven't necessarily felt it yet. You know what I mean?
Okay. So you said AdSense. We said shorts. What else are the other ones?
So then you got man, I got so many stories for y'all. Like I'm trying to and this kind of goes back to my point, right? My point of me, I've never been money number driven. I took the assessment. You guys know, of course, I think it's the attributes assessment. And my number one was like, I want to say it was like individualism or something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but it was something to the point where like I'm driven off of me being able to be me. I got this deal recently and I'm excited to share this publicly because I know, and I know because God is so good. I got this deal. There's this company out here, right? Who they basically buy all of your older content. All of the videos I made from 2011 to 2021, they wanted to buy it. They approached me with a 6-figure deal. and they was like, yo, we want to buy all your older videos from you.
Wait, first of all, you're not gonna speed past that. Like, you didn't just say what you just said.
Say that one more. Say what was 6? You said so 6.
They offer 6 figures for my content from 2011 to 2021 because they say that your older content doesn't perform as well. My content still perform, but they say over time it starts to like dwindle to where you don't make much money from it, which is true, right? But the one thing, so we got to reading this, and I'm gonna get back to the streams and stuff like that. But these are the two biggest for me are brand deals and AdSense revenue. Mm-hmm. So the biggest red flag, and I looked at the contract, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. They want to offer me this much money. I look at the contract, and the one thing that I read, and I'm talking about they came back to me 4 or 5 times over this. Like they were really trying to get me to take this. And I was like, oh, I turned it down. I think I said that. I turned it down. So the biggest concern was they wanted me to post a certain amount of times for like 5 to 10 years. And I was like, yo, y'all basically asking me to sign away my creative freedom. Like, and I can't give that away. Like, the reason I got into YouTube and got into content creation is because I have the freedom to do what I want, post what I want, how I want. And the way that I look at it too is I'm not hurting, right? I'm not hurting for this money. So if I was hurting for it, which I can understand how some people might take it, it's like, yo, this is a large lump sum, but it's like, I'm not hurting for it. So it wouldn't make sense for me to take it. Plus, I don't even know what I would do with it. I'm still like in the process of learning like wealth management and financial literacy. So I'm not trying to take it and just blow it. But so yeah, like the reason I'm so excited to say I turned it down is because I just know that if they were willing to offer me that, I know I'm worth so much more. I know it. And so it's like, and so I'm just excited about what else got. So AdSense revenue was 50 grand in a month. Biggest brand deal was this 6-figure thing. I turned it down, which is cool. But next you got merch, which merch does decent depending on how you do it, like and how you sell it. Merch, I think I made last year maybe like 5-6 grand off of merch. You have what else? Oh, TikTok pays. You have Instagram pays for like bonuses. You got sometimes collaborations pay. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of ways to get paid off social media. Facebook pays. I'm trying to think. Like, there's a lot of ways, but I'm having a brain fart right now as to the difference.
You're good. Yeah, I just want to make sure that you covered your big spots of making some income just creating content. So no, that was dope.
People sleep on content creation. There's money in content creation. People sleep on it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, what I love, that's dope. We gonna have to circle back to that. So now because like the way you told the story, it's as if the first 10 years of content was just like, whatever, it didn't work out. They helped me establish my creativity. But now it seemed like you got companies coming back saying, oh, we'll take that old stuff, which is incredible. That's awesome. So now are you looking at, and Nicky and I have been talking about this over the last few weeks. Most people, when they get to some level of success, especially online, they start offering other services for other creators or people wanting to come into the space to teach them how to do it, right? What's your thoughts on that process? Are you like considering that? Is it something for you where you're like, no, I kind of just want to, look after my YouTube channel and the stuff that I have now as opposed to going into a different stream?
Yeah. So what's funny is I started getting into like ClickFunnels for a while. Like I took the OFA challenge with Russell Brunson and all that. And I actually came out with an ebook that was like the How to Go Viral playbook or something like that. I had a mentor who was telling me like how to sell and use funnels and stuff like that. And I think, and this was kind of recent actually. So it's not like it was a long time ago. It was like maybe end of last year. And I just like, I don't know. I like talking about what I do and talking about how I did it. So we have a group here in Charlotte. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, for people who don't know. We host like meetups, like YouTube meetups. We'll meet and we'll talk about how to grow on YouTube, how to make money on social media, all that stuff. If you're interested, the page is Charlotte Creators on Instagram. Follow that. We do meetups and stuff like that. But so I thought about it, but that was just something about the idea of like selling to me. I just don't like having to sell people. I don't know what it is. It's just I get this real like icky feeling when I say, yo, buy my course, I don't know. It's weird. So I'm in this place right now where I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to learn how to, while I'm in this circle, while I'm in this bubble where like stuff is moving, stuff is going up, I'm still averaging like millions of views a month and stuff like that. And I have the resources. I'm trying to figure out how to maximize this and really maximize my influence using it in different ways. So I want to do like meet and greets and do tours where like I have a character who does like rapping and stuff. I want to, go on tour and perform those one day. I want to host YouTube meet and greets and meetups and like figure out ways to really take the impact that I have and share it with the community in a way that also makes me money while I'm also able to help people. So stuff like different stuff, like there's a guy I look up to named Kyle Exum who makes comedy skits similar to me. And one of the things that he does that is, another stream of revenue. I'm sorry. So the music, so the songs I be making, I put on Apple Music and Spotify. And them right there, that pay too. Apple Music and Spotify pay. You can get a couple grand off of that. You can get a couple grand off of that a month. Simply off of like making, I'm talking about these are like rap parodies. And I put them on it's a Shopify and Apple Music. People love them things, man. So that pay too. But what I was saying? I was trying to
You was talking about impact and going on tour with some of that stuff. Yeah.
So basically, in terms of like teaching people how to make comedy skits, I thought about it, man, but I just don't see myself as like a teacher. And maybe my perception of it is just wrong because I see it as like, no disrespect to him whatsoever, but I see it as like I don't want to be the next Russell Brunson. Nothing wrong with him. Again, dope guy. I love the OFA challenge. I loved it. I think it's a dope idea. But I don't see myself as a teacher, man. And I'm just like, I want to use my impact in a way that can impact people while still being able to also be who I am. Just be funny, be goofy, be wild, do what I want to do and not necessarily. So I don't know. Maybe my perspective is wrong. Maybe I just need to look more into it. But yeah, to answer the question, I've considered it. And I still got the ebook. Yeah. The ebook is still out. I just haven't really promoted it or nothing.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Nope, you're not alone. I promise you.
For real.
All right, let's talk into this structure of creating content. So you create a whole guap of skits. And if you haven't seen his skits and what he does,
hilarious.
Oh my God, the dad ones are dumb funny.
Oh man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, but like break down, how does that look? How long does that take? From the very beginning when you thought about it to like the workflow that you have now. Do you even have a workflow? Or is it more of like, I'm Nicky, I'm inspired. Moose, I'm going to do this now. Boom. Like break down that structure.
Y'all asking the good questions, man. This is stuff I be journaling about, yo. So, all right. So I'll say this, right? So when I first started, my workflow was different, right? I remember I was watching this interview with Country Wayne. Love Country Wayne. Hilarious dude. And he was talking about how basically he shoots like 14, 15, 16 videos in a weekend or something like that. And he only works like 2 times a month or something like that. And I was like, yo, that is so productive. Like to be able to shoot that many videos. And so that was like my formula. I was like, yo, what I'm going to do is, because at the time I was living with my mom, I was renting Airbnbs every month and I was just shooting content. So I would write like 8-9 scripts in the night and then go to the Airbnb and shoot like 12 videos within like a day and a half. That was my process. And what I found very quickly within 3 to 4 months, I started to really get burnt out, bro. I was like, yo, like, I don't like this. Like I love creating content, but to get to it, like, just imagine I'm writing all these scripts for one. And then I'm thinking, okay, tomorrow I got to go to this Airbnb and I got to shoot 12 to 13 videos all at one time. It was so much stress. I was like, yo, this is not healthy. So what I had to learn, I was listening to this ebook called The E-Myth, right? And it's always the simple one-liners for me. So there's a story, I'll make it quick. There was a story about a lady who owned a pie shop or something, right? And she'd been making pies all her life, and she loved it. It was like her passion. And it got to a point where because her business took off and she was making all this money doing pies, it gets to a point where it's not fun no more. And it's like, yo, like it was fun at one point, but now I just feel like a robot in this thing. And what the narrator told her that was so dope, he was like, yo, baking pies isn't about getting it done. It's about baking pies. And what that meant to me was making videos and making comedy skits ain't about getting it done. Me making 12 videos a night was about how can I put out more content. But what people don't realize is I did the stretch of content I put out in that time, I was not happy with, because all of my videos started to look the same. It was Pops and Darryl. It was Pops arguing. And people don't understand, it take a lot to play Pop. All this be burning. When I be yelling, when I be, Darryl, get your, like all that be burning. Like for real. I be sore. I be like, if you look at any video, go back and look at any of my videos, the purple shirt, it be sweat dripping down that thing because Pop is a lot. He's very animated. So all of my videos were the same structure and the same characters, to where I was looking at them like, yo, I keep like, why do I feel so stuck in this? Like where I'm not creative. I don't have ideas. I'm just putting stuff together. And so after I heard what a narrator told her, like, yo, the way I interpreted it, making videos isn't about getting it done. It's about making videos. What that means to me is it's about the reason I got into this in the first place. It's about the fact that I create videos is because I enjoy the process of content creating. I enjoy writing the scripts. I enjoy getting creative ideas. So what I do now is I took that weight off myself and I say, yo, I don't really have a schedule no more. I know I'm gonna post 2 times a week, but I'm not going like go out of my way to try to. I used to sit and think of video ideas. Literally, I used to sit in this chair or at my mom's house, think of video ideas so long that I would get a migraine. I would sit in a chair for hours thinking of like, yo, what's this video idea? How can I execute it and get migraines and have to take a nap because my head would start hurting. That's how bad it was. Whereas now, like, I don't even try and ideas flow so fast. And I don't even like at the same time what I was doing too. And I had to, and this is like what I had to learn how to pace myself. Because when you think about like a movie or like a rapper, right? A rapper will probably drop like an album a year, right? And then that whole time, it's like you just vibe off of that one album. The way I was operating is I would drop a video, get an idea, write it, film it, post it to the point where you got all these ideas and you executed on all 6 ideas, which is amazing. But now you have no more content. And it's like, dang. Now I got to sit back through this process of getting a migraine and going back to the Airbnbs. So what I started doing was stretching my content out. I'm like, yo, like in my book, I keep a list of ideas. In my ideas, I got like 20 ideas now. Well, no, I got thousands of ideas, but I got 20 for the month that are just in a line. And instead of me saying, all right, let me film this to get it out, it's like, nah, what I'm going to do this week? This week, I'm going to write this, I'm going to film this, I'm going to edit this, and that's going to go out. And then guess what? Next week, I got more ideas. I don't got to think. And then ideas come to me randomly now because I'm not even trying. They just come. I was coming through my apartment the other day, and this just how I get ideas, right? I was coming to my apartment, and this lady was coming. She was holding boxes, so I hold the door for her, and she just walked through, and she gave me this thank face. She don't even say thank you. She just walked through, and I'm just like, "What's wrong with you?" You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, but. I got in the house and I was like, man, I'm gonna make a video about that. I'm gonna make a video about how I should have reacted when she did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I wrote it down, and now it's in my ideas to where maybe next month sometime after I finish these, I'll be able to like drop. I'll have video content. So, in terms of like structure and stuff like that, another thing I'll say, last thing, and I'll shut up. I talk a lot, man. I swear.
No, keep going.
Is the last thing I'll say is, so if you don't know who Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber of all time. I'm saying. And he had this quote one time where he was like, basically, he would rather make 10 or make one amazing video than 10 trash videos. And that's how I operate. I operate in this mindset of quality over quantity. I can give y'all, people want me to post every day. People want me to post funny videos and shorts hourly. Like they want that. And my thing is, I can give you that, but don't expect the same level of quality. Don't expect for it to be as funny. Because I'm not putting too much thought into it. When I sit and I really like, I wish I had my scripts. I got scripts and shots and shot lists and characters, and I'm out here buying props for these videos to make it interesting. Like, it's a process. This is a production. I'm not just making comedy skits. I'm creating an experience for people. So I can't just give you a minute video and it just be it. Like, this is a process. So when I tried to speed up that process, trying to be like somebody else, trying to be like Country Wayne, trying to be like Desi Banks, who can post every day, I got to realize our workflows are different. I don't operate like that. I get burnt out doing that. So I'm talking a lot, but yeah, I think I'm done. I'm done.
I think I'm doing it.
My bad. I get to talking, yo, because people don't ask questions. People don't ask creators questions. They just assume we just know everything and got it made. And it's like, y'all don't even know the process. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's real. That's real.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You know what's crazy? I remember seeing you in DC. I think it was like 2019, right? And you were at the conference, and I was like, "Oh, D, what's up?" Like, and it was just like a completely different person. Like you were more shy, reserved. Like he was like, I was like, "Oh, it's not comedy skit. D. This okay." You know, so just talk about like, and of course I'm saying this because I'm seeing you now, and it's like. You're so comfortable being you. Where some people, even throughout their creative process, they create a character that is not themselves. And Nicky talks about it all the time. Yo, it's hard to keep that person up. But when you create who you are, you can be that person all the time. So tell me like what changed and how do you preserve that now? Because I feel like right now you just in a flow, you're free, you're comfortable, you're not like, you know, walking on eggshells. Talk about that a little bit, man, because the branding, the content, all this stuff is important, but I think also us being happy while we're doing this is just as important.
Yeah. You know what's funny? So what's funny is the way that I was in DC when I met you, or not when I met you, but when I saw you, is that's pretty much how I am. Like I make comedy skits and I'm a goofy person, but I mean, I just know that like there's a time for everything. And there, like a lot of times I don't talk, I just listen. So even when we went to see E.T. speak and we went to see, you know, Jamal speak, I'm there as a student. I'm not really there to like, I'm just not the guy to be in the mix like that. I'm extroverted. Like I'm like an extroverted introvert. Like I can be out in the moment sometimes and I can talk and be amongst people, but I like to listen a lot of times. I like to learn. Like people always like, I feel like people want for me to always teach or to like people expect me to be funny 24/7. I'm just not like that. Like I'm a goofy guy and I like to make jokes and be funny. Like my girlfriend will tell you I'm strange. I'm weird. I do some things sometimes where I'm pretty sure she be thinking, I don't know what's wrong with this boy. I'm pretty sure she do that. But ultimately, like especially in a scene like that where it's like we're in this at a conference or we just chilling or something like that, I'm just laid back. I'm just like, yo, I'm just chilling. I'm here to learn, to be a part of the mix, to network and stuff like that. And then, you know, maybe if we leave from there and we go get food, you'll see how weird I really am. But in the meantime, you know what I'm saying? This is who I am. But what I will say, and something has changed since then though. And what I'll say is, and I would encourage everybody to do this, right? So I moved out my mom's house last year. And I moved into my own spot by myself, all alone. And I think that was such a monumental shift for me because I had never spent time alone. And what I realized is like the first 2 weeks I was here, I'm in my part now. The first 2 weeks I was here, I was super lonely. I was like, yo, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like I felt very like drained. I was like, yeah, why do I feel like I don't know myself? Like what's going on? And so it was literally like a process of me figuring out who I was. Like, I don't necessarily put on any kind of personas. I am who I am wherever I go. But I mean, I do get caught up in character sometimes. Like, I wish I could be Pop sometimes. I wish, but I can't do that. But I wish, man. I wish I could speak my mind. Boy, I let some people know. But nah, so being in this place by myself, it forced me to deal with myself. And I've never had to be in a place where I'm not subject to other people's opinions, perspectives. I can say or think something without it being met with some kind of rebuttal. I can say what I feel and nobody come back and say, well, that's not right. You shouldn't think that. It's like, no, I'm here in my own place, to my own mind, to my own thoughts. And honestly, this whole process has been like a journey of me getting comfortable. Like I started journaling, like I bought it. So it's so weird because again, it's mindset shifts. When I used to not like journaling because it felt like work. Like it felt like I'm back in school and I'm writing this journal. But what I realized was the journal isn't just about writing how I feel. It's about writing really how I feel. I be cussing in my journal. I be going off on people in my journal. I be writing, and sometimes I only got words. I just draw what I'm feeling. I draw an angry face. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just about expressing yourself and being able to have a place or have an outlet to be able to express how you feel. So what I'll say changed in that 1 year from DC to now is I'm more comfortable in who I am, not feeling like I have to be a certain way. I don't have to like I'm not your typical, I guess, influencer. I'm not out here flaunting money. I'm not out here like there are people I know. I ain't gonna say that. There are people I've met who are just they real. I don't want to say big time, but it's like you meet this person and it's real like, and it's just like I'm not that kind of person. And so, yeah, so like this whole process of me living by myself and so it's been an amazing experience because now I think I'm finally in a place where I'm learning to understand who I am as opposed to what other people think of me or how I see myself through the eyes of other people, if that makes sense.
I just want to say this was one of the best interviews so far. I just want to say that.
Really?
Maybe I'm biased. I'm just saying I just really like this interview.
I'm glad. I'm enjoying it too.
So let's talk about the transition. So because you weren't always this big time YouTube creator, this top content creator. You weren't always this. Like you had a job. Like I remember he hit me up on the DMs like, when did you know? Like, what am I supposed to do? Right. So I want you to really break down like that itch when you ask that question, like, is it time? And then what happened afterwards to where now you're you are the content creator that you are, and you're not necessarily leaning on a 9-to-5, a small projects, things like that. Like you are your mainstream of income.
Yeah. See, again, another story. If I get to talking, just tell me to shut up.
Come on. We haven't said shut up once.
We here for the stories. Yeah, we here for the stories. Yeah.
So what I'll say is, right, I'm going to start from my first job, my first official job, like on the books, was I worked at Target, right? Now, and this is why I'm so loyal to Target. I think Target was a great company. I enjoyed working there. It was a great experience overall.
Is this why you have black and red all over your walls?
No. I didn't think about it, man.
Representing.
Look,
not exactly.
Indirectly, you have red because of Target. I'm just saying.
Not it. Red might be. I don't know. Not exactly. But red's my favorite color too. So maybe that was the thing. I don't know. But so I was at Target, right? And I remember at the time I was like working like regular floor hard lines, which is just like stocking and stuff like that. So I'm gonna speed up the story a little bit. I got promoted I was a PA, which is like a produce manager. I was like over like 2 or 3 people in produce, whatever. What ended up happening was at that time I was making beats still, right? I wanted to be a music producer. I remember I was listening to like this. So I would always in the back, I would have headphones in. So I was listening to Secret to Success. I was listening to Gary Vee. I was listening to everybody. I remember I was listening to this interview with Gary Vee where he talked about this app called Meetup, right? And he was like, yo, like if you're looking for people in your city who are similar to you, think like you, go to Meetup app, download it, whatever. So I downloaded the Meetup app and I looked for music production. And there was this dude by the name of Brian E. Walker. Shout out to him, who was hosting these music production meetups in Charlotte every Sunday. And he was like, he had worked with Bryson Tiller, Andy Mineo. He was like a dope dude. Like, so I was like, yo, I want to go to these meetups. So I started going on the Sundays when I had it off. And it got to a point where, and this is where I knew like, okay, I'll say this. I always knew, again, I'm not driven by money, not driven financially. I'm driven by the ability to be myself, right? It got to a point where I'm going to these meetups over and over and over again every Sunday until Target told me I couldn't go no more. They was like, yo, for anybody who works in retail or work in grocery, you know, Sunday, the busiest day of the week, because that's when people coming to get their groceries. So as a PA, I can't leave. I'm stuck here. So it got to a point where they wouldn't let me go. They was like, yo, you can't go. So I was like, all right, bet, I'm gonna quit. So I put in my 2-week notice and I literally quit my job so that I could go to those meetups on Sunday. So now the crazy part is the day before I actually quit, or the day before I left, they had gave me a raise, right? So I think I was making at the time, people were making like $9, $10 an hour. I was making, I think, 16, and they gave me a raise to 17. On the day that I put in my resignation, whatever it's called, letter of resignation, they gave me $17 an hour. And I was like, man, that's dope. But can I get my Sundays off? And they was like, nope. I'm like, all right. So I left. So I literally, and this is the crazy part. And this is why, like, again, same thing with the whole brand deal thing, the whole like six figure deal. It quote unquote might have been a stupid decision, but I feel like my stupid decisions always pay off. I went from making $17 at the at Target to making $10 an hour at the pawn shop. $17 an hour to $10 an hour at the pawn shop. But my Sundays was free. I had my Sundays. So I quit. I go to the pawn shop and work. Now, mind you, I quit. I ain't never worked at the pawn shop. I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know none of that. I just know I want my Sundays off because I know that the value I get from these meetups is more important than anything I'm going to get from Target. I just know that. So I get to the pawn shop, working there 2-3 years, whatever, cool. Got to a point, I stopped. This is in this transition between like making beats to making comedy skits. There's another meetup hosted by my boy Tusock. Shout outs again to him. On Wednesday nights. Now, this time, I got my Sundays off, but I can't get my Wednesdays. Now, my pawn shop hours were like crazy, man. Pawn shop hours were like 8 a.m. in the morning to 8 p.m. every day. It wasn't no in between. You was either 8 a.m., 8 p.m. or you was off. That's just how it was. So what I did was I started. This is a long story. I really started lying to my manager, right? I told him, I was like, yo, I got night classes on Wednesday at CBCC, which is a community college down here in Charlotte. And I was like, yo, I got night classes and I got to go. So he couldn't stop me from going to school. So every Wednesday I was out and I was going to these meetups, these YouTube meetups. They were like YouTube masterclass meetups where we talk about, this was the first time, mind you, the first time I ever saw a person making a living off of YouTube. I went and he showed on the screen like, yo, he was making this amount of money a month, $6,000-$7,000 a month. I'm like, yo, at a time I'm making $400 a week at the pawn shop. I'm like, yo, $400 every 2 weeks. So I'm like, that's crazy that you making like that much off of YouTube. That's insane. So I'm lying to my manager like, yo, I'm going to school, right? And then, so eventually it got to a point down the line where my manager, he called me into his office. And this is why I have a love-hate relationship with that man. He was so blunt that I loved it, but I hated it. I loved it because it made me want to get out of there. I hated it because I felt so restricted. He pulled me up into his office and he sat down and he was like, this is at the end of the CP semester. He sat down in his chair, legs crossed, just like this. I'll never forget it. And he was like, now look, this is exactly how he talked to me. He was like, look, school is over, which means you going to be working. Ain't going to be no more leaving on Wednesdays. Ain't going to be no more this, that. You going to be here. And I was like, who is this man? Like, wait a minute now. Hold up now. I'm a whole grown man right here. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute. So what ends up happening, he asked me. He was like, yo, for real. He was like, so look, you're going to have to know. So at the time, at the pawn shop, I'm the camera guy. People that come into the pawn shop know that I'm into cameras and I'm into YouTube. Everybody be watching my videos and stuff like that. So he's like, yo, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to either choose your job where you make this money or you're going to choose your little comedy skits. That's exactly what he said. He was like, your little comedy skits. That's exactly your little videos. And I was like, my little videos. And he just sat there and he was like he didn't know what to say. It was a real awkward silence. He was just sitting there like this. And I was like, okay. And he was like, all right, go back downstairs. I went back downstairs. And I think the next day or so, or maybe in between that time, I put in my 2-week notice. It was probably like a week or two after that, right? And, that was a lot that led up to it for me listening to. That was a video by Steve Harvey called Jump, where he talked about just taking a chance on yourself and betting on yourself, and eventually it's going to work. So same thing with the pawn shop. I was like, yo, I feel restricted here. Like, I'm ready to get up out of here. I put in my 2-week notice. And the crazy part is I didn't know how I was going to make money. I just remember my prayer. I would pray to God. My prayer was, God, I just want to learn how I can make more money in less time. I want to make either the same amount of money or more in less time. And so what happened was, I remember this dude came into the pawn shop one day and he was like excited talking about how he was like lifting. He was like, yeah, I be doing lift, like whatever. And I'm like, lift? I never thought of that before. And so at first I was like, nah, I ain't really into that. Like, my car already old. I'm gonna be driving somebody, my car gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't really into that. So then maybe 2 days later or so, I'm driving my mom to work. Driving my mom to work. I used to do it every morning. And I'm doing my prayers. And it's so weird when I hear people say this, but now that I've experienced it, it's not. I really felt like God kind of told me, like, yo, lift is the answer to your prayer. I just told you. Lift is like, you can make more money in less time. Lyft is your thing. So what I did was, I think after that was when I put in my 2-week notice. And then I quit. And literally the same day I signed up for Lyft. I started doing that. And that was it. And I was making money off it. I was driving 3 hours a day from 5 in the morning to 9 or 5 to 8, making $60. And I think that was $60 a couple times a week. So I was basically making $500 to $600 every 2 weeks. I was like, dang, I just replaced my income just like that. Just like that. So then, crazy part, what happens is coronavirus hit. Months after that, Corona hit. Now, ain't nobody going to work. Everything shut down. I remember, man, I came outside and I'm like driving, looking for rides. I ain't getting no pings. I was like, yo, what in the world is happening? I was like, yo, I'm not gonna make no kind of money because like ain't nobody doing nothing. So, and this is where I think it's so dope, man. Like, I think, like, I don't know how to explain it, but God is so good, right? So for the next couple of months, I'm like trying to figure out how am I gonna make this money? Coronavirus done hit. I ain't getting no rides. It is literally nothing I can do. In this time, I'm also learning about financial literacy. I found this podcast called Literacy King. Shout out to them, talking about financial literacy and why it's important to budget and all that stuff. What happens is, as soon as Lyft stops, I start getting these random calls and emails from people I worked and shot videos for years ago. Hit me up like, bro, can you shoot my church service? Can you take photos for my daughter's birthday? Can you do? It was like random people who I had done brand deals for at the time. Like this dude, shout out to BJK Production. I had been working with him for a while. He hit me up after like 3 years of not working with him. Was like, yo, bro, I'm gonna pay you to do this for me. I'm like, I bet. So literally the first like 3 months after that, it was just God was literally taking care of everything. And my prayer, I think, before I left the pawn shop was one, more money, less time. But it was also, I wanted to make $1,000 a month on my own. And that meant whatever way that I can make it, whether it be DoorDash, Lyft, whatever. So what happens is I get to a point where the brand deal and stuff stop. Brand deals stop. The gigs stop. And what happens is my car has an issue. My car is like starting to break down. I'm like, dang, I had like an issue with an oil pan or something like that. Now, the shop I went to, and this is just me talking about how good God is, honestly. Like, the shop I went to was directly beside the pawn shop I used to work at. And so I had to take my car there because it was cheaper. You know, it was like the hood mechanics. They was like, yo, I know my Nicky gonna charge you $8,500, but we gonna charge you $300. And I was like, I bet. So I go to them, and I'm in there, and all day I avoid the pawn shop. Because I'm like, I used to work there. I don't want to face this manager. I'm a punch him if I see him. Like, I was like, yeah, I don't want to go in there. But I was there for so long. I was there like 7 hours. So eventually I broke down, went to the pawn shop. Went in there. Craziest thing happened. I went in there. I had a conversation with my old manager. And she was like, not the guy, she was another manager. And she was like, yeah. Basically, she was telling me about this employee I used to work with named Mr. Harold, who was hilarious. Used to love Mr. Harold. He had left. He had like retired and stuff. And she was like, oh, yeah, Darryl, did you ever pull out your retirement money? And I was like, retirement money? What? Hold up. Now back up. Give it, hold up to run that back. And she was like, yeah, from the moment you started working, they've been putting money for you in a 401k or whatever. And I was like, you lying. And so I called the people when I get home and I'm like, yo, my manager told me I got money. Mind you, I've been out of there for like 1.5 years at this point. I'm like, yo, she told me I got money in here. And she like, yeah, you got about $2,500 in here. And I was like, 25. I was like, 25.
Silly.
so I was like, yo. So I did that, got that money, and then after that, within that time, and I'm gonna speed the story up. I don't even remember what the question was, but within that time, I started door dashing, and then I literally door dashed up until I started making money off of YouTube, and that's exactly how the journey was. That was a long story. I don't know if I answered the question or not, but
you did.
Yeah,
wow.
My bad.
Wow. Yeah, no, Darryl, this is going to be my last question, man. This conversation has been so rich. I think the coolest part for me is just seeing how you are. You feel me? Like, and I'm not saying nothing towards other guests, but it's like, it's rare that you see somebody come on here like, what? I'm just me. Like, can I tell you my stories? I forgot the question, but I'm going to just tell you anyway, because I kind of wanted to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, definitely, bro, man, mad love and so much respect for what you're doing. I definitely wish you nothing but the best. But final question, bro. Having learned everything that you've learned through all of this experience, right? The 9 to 5, the transition into YouTube, the meetups, the content, all this stuff. What's one thing you would tell somebody who's just starting today that wants to be where you are right now?
So the biggest piece of advice or what I would tell somebody is, so again, we host like YouTube meetups in Charlotte, right? And a lot of times I get people who talk to us and say, man, how do you stay motivated? I feel so like I don't see the numbers growing. I don't see this moving. I've been posting for 6 months. I'm not seeing nothing. And my biggest thing, I think, is like there's a lot of people who are ready to give up in this YouTube game. And this might not be the popular answer, but I think you need to go back either check what your heart really is or give up. And I know that might sound messed up, but I would say if you constantly thinking about giving up, I would give up. And the reason is because I've been in this game 11 years, man. And never once did I think I only got 2,000 subscribers. I only got 500 subscribers. Because I'm in this for the content. I'm in this because I enjoy creating videos. I thoroughly enjoy it. So when people ask me, have you ever I've felt burnt out, like I told y'all, but when it comes to like, I'm ready to quit YouTube. I'm not seeing growth. I'm not seeing what I want to see. I never felt that way because I thoroughly enjoy what I do. There's this website called Social Blade, if you don't know it, where you can kind of go in there and they'll give you like a rough estimate of how much your favorite YouTubers make, what they channel grade is. And it's not really true because they told me my net worth was like 5 million. And I'm like, wait a minute, somebody lied to me. So, you can go in there. And I remember, so Social Blade also gives you projections. So they show you like at this time, your channel will be here. So they told me in 2025, I would hit 100,000 subscribers. And this was in 2019 when I saw it. Now, most people would look at that and say, man, I got to wait 6 years? Like, that's a long time. But for me, I was like, oh, 2025? That means I'll be full time in 2025. And I was excited. I was like, yo, like, I just know that just means to me in 2025, I'll be a full-time YouTuber. Because in my mind, 100,000 subscribers is you made it. Like, that's just how I looked at it. It's never been about the numbers and the vanity. People don't understand. And I'm going to be 100 with y'all. I got 1.7 million followers on TikTok. 1.7 million. And they paid me $200 last month. They paid me $200 last month. So
on the 1.7?
On a 1.7 million followers. $200. Wow. And so if you in this game for the money, if you in this game for the numbers, if you in this game for not like, if you are not in this because you truly enjoy it, I would really either reassess why you doing this or I would really stop because there's it's not about money. It's about the impact that you can make as a creator. That's the most important thing to me. And that's the advice I would give to anybody is when you get into this game, get in it because you genuinely want to be here. Because the way that I look at it is if you don't enjoy the process now, if you don't enjoy looking at your stats and they tell you got 200 subscribers, you ain't going to enjoy that 2 million. Because I don't know if you think it get easier, but it don't. You know what I'm saying? It don't get easier when you get 2 million. That just means you got more people looking at you waiting to see what you got next. That's all that means. That's all that means. It don't mean that you done made it. Like if I would have stopped posting YouTube videos today on my channel, eventually the ad revenue will go down. Eventually to go down. It'll stay up for a little bit. It'll probably fluctuate, but eventually it's going to go down. So it's like, don't get stuck up on this money stuff. Don't get stuck up on these numbers and stuff. Like literally enjoy the process. Even though I'm telling y'all like my manager and this DoorDash and Lyft, look, I enjoyed the process. DoorDash was a blessing. Lyft was a blessing. The pawn shop was a blessing. I learned so many skills from all these places. I ain't never complained about this journey. I never will because it was fun. It was fun. And it's still fun. But for the people who are in this journey and they just constantly want to give up, constantly want to quit, it's like, you got to do some reassessing, man. Because I don't know what you think this is, but this is, if you love it, stay here. If not,
that's real.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
That's real.
All right. And this is going to be my last question and a treat for the people who stayed to the end. You feel me? Let's talk about brand deals. Let's have a little masterclass on brand deals. Talk to the people. How does one get one? Right? you talked about the one that you turned down, right? Like how did you even approach them? Did they approach you? Like, we want to know about brand deals. Tell us. So talk to people.
So a lot of times, honestly, now, I'm sorry. A lot of times now, brand deals actually, they'll come to me. So they'll send me emails and they'll say, yo, we see you and we want to work with you and stuff like that. That's how it is now. But when I was first starting, I think like the first dope brand deal I had was like, I work with Tiff's Treats, which is like a cookie delivery service. And I literally just DM'd them on Instagram like, yo, I eat y'all cookies all the time. And I would like to collab with y'all. I got a little audience here. I think I had like 5,000 followers at the time. Like, y'all got a little audience. Y'all trying to work with me. They gave me like a $400 gift card for cookies and I work with them. And like, I did it because it's, when you first starting, at least, I think you at least want to be able to tell people, oh, I've worked with these people. I have experience in my, like, you want to be able to show them something. So it's like, they want a video integration. They don't want to know that you're the first integration necessarily. Cause then it's like, we don't even know what you can offer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, whenever brands come to me and like, yo, we want an integration or we want a TikTok video, I have things to send them. They might've been free. They might've been cheap, but I have a catalog. I have like an archive of brand content for you to look at. So that's the first thing. And then when they do come to you, what I will say is be careful, man. Cause I got played a lot of times. There are times when like, matter of fact, to this day, there's people who've reached out to me and say, yo, let me get a video from you. I send you a video and I still ain't got paid. I'm talking about like 3 years ago, still ain't been paid. So I would say be careful. Like if especially if it's like a startup, nothing wrong with the startups, but a lot of times it's like, they'll reach out and one, they'll ask you for a lot. It's so funny because we think the brands who reach out to you who want to offer you the least also want the most from you. So you got to be careful. Like if your prices are $200 for like an Instagram post, expect to have brands saying, yeah, we want a TikTok, we want a YouTube, we want an Instagram, we want this, we want a link in the bio, we want 2 years of rights. We will expect that. Whereas the companies who I don't work with who have paid me the most money just be like, bro, we just want a TikTok video. I'm just like, all right, bet. What else? Oh, that's it. We good. We finna send the payment. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got to be careful with that stuff. So if a brand does reach out, a little system that I kind of have is, normally what I do, don't ever, in my opinion, if you're doing it by yourself, don't ever just send off a video without signing nothing, without having like an agreement. And even if you do, when you send the video, I used to send my brand videos with a big old black label that said preview on it. So even if you wanted to steal it, you couldn't. You know what I'm saying? So that way it's like, I seen the video so you can see it. But they gonna know if you post this, oh, he ain't pay for that. He stole that. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know if I answered the question or not. But yeah, for the most part, brand deals, when you consistent and you posting on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, they eventually start to come to you. And what I'll say is when you think about how much to charge and stuff like that, because I know that's a big thing as far as like, oh, I don't know what to charge, I don't know what I'm worth. Like, really think about what it takes you to do this. Like, think about if they want a TikTok video, how long does that take? What kind of software do you use? Do you have to travel? Do you have to get things? Because another mistake I made was people saying, I'll pay you $400. And then I realized, oh, well, you want me to go out here and shoot, or I got to shoot at this Airbnb, which is going to cost me $300. Then I'm paying for this software to use in it, or paying for this B-roll that's going to cost me $200. That's gonna cost, and so I'm basically in the hole $300, and I ain't made no money off of it. So it's there's a lot that goes into it, and as you keep going, you'll learn and you'll grow in experience and stuff like that. But those are a few tips I can think of off top. I think those are a few I can think of.
No, I mean, hey, that was my last question. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm gonna just say thank you again, bro. I really enjoyed this combo. I thought this was rich. And yeah, for anybody who's trying to be a creative, this got to be the perfect dialogue, bro. Like this was as organic as all get out. Yeah,
and for me, this is our way of giving you your flowers. Like we've seen the journey, right? We just wanted to give you the platform to express how that journey really was. And we don't want to wait till you're super big or something bad happens to give you your flowers. this is just our way of saying, yo, thank you. Like, thank you for what you do, for the skits you do, and for this information that you just gave to the people. I'm just saying.
Thank y'all, man. I genuinely appreciate y'all having me on here, for real. I don't get many like podcasts or interviews, and the fact that I'm on Nicky and Moose, I really feel like I'm official. I'm like, dang, I'm doing something. Like,
I'm just saying, tell your friends to tell your friends.
For sure.
But listen, first and foremost, tell the people where they can find you, and then we normally let Moose do the final words. But since you're our guest, I want you to give final words to people who are trying to do something with this content game and trying to figure out how to make money, create a brand, all this stuff. Just give me final words.
Yeah. So first I'll say, oh, wait, you want me to do the shout out first for my socials or do the...
Yeah. Do the shout outs.
Okay, cool. So if you're looking for me, you can find me on YouTube and my name, Darryl Mayes. TikTok is Darryl Mayes. Instagram, Darryl Mayes. Darryl Mayes everywhere. If you want to support me as a creator, I have a Patreon. Patreon is also Darryl Mayes. So Darryl Mayes everywhere. Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. You just type in Darryl Mayes. That's DARYLMAYES. And encouraging words. What I will say is, if you find yourself in a place where you're struggling right now, even if, let's say you kind of do want to give up and you know that you in it, you know that you love content creating and stuff like that, I would say the most important piece of information I would give you is to really get around some people who do as you do. Find and think like you think. Find a meetup, find a group, find somewhere to go where there's a collection of people who talk about business and talk about social media and content creation, because these are the people that's going to change your life. There are conversations like, I remember, again, just another conversation, just like same guy, Two Socks Productions. Shout out to him, man. I remember the first time, or one of the first meetups I went to of his, we were sitting outside in his car and we were just talking. We just be talking, just like I'm talking now, we be talking. And I was telling him like, yo, my dream car, bro, is a Tesla Model 3. I was like, yeah, that's my dream car. And what he told me was so strange. I didn't expect him to respond the way he did. He was like, your dream car is a Tesla Model 3? I'm like, yeah. He was like, how much is that? By like 35 grand. At the time, I was like, yeah. He was like, bro, your dream's too small, bro. Like, you can afford that. That's easy. At the time, I'm working at the pawn shop, or I'm door dashing and lifting at this time. I'm like, I can afford that. Who can afford that? You know what I'm saying? But to me at the time, there was a lot of money. And what I realized was I was allowing, one, this poverty mindset, and two, I was allowing for me to, I was setting my dreams and my goals based on my level of comfortability. That's what I was doing. I couldn't imagine myself being a millionaire. I couldn't imagine myself making 6 figures a year. Even though it was on my vision board, I couldn't imagine it because I came up with no cable and I came up with barely food in the fridge and I came up with like struggle and stuff like that. So being around people like him, being around other creators, people who think in these different ways, you start to see like I remember, man, sitting with this dude and he making all this money off of YouTube, making 6 figures a year at the time, talking about, man, I ain't doing nothing with my life. And I'm like, what? You making $100,000? And he like, bro, I ain't doing nothing with my. It's more I can do. It's more to conquer. It's more to make. It's more people to impact. And I get that now. I get it now. I'm like, yo, you right. Like, there's so many more people to impact. So much more to do in this world than this little box that we confine ourselves to. So I would say if you are looking to grow and to not only as a creator, but as a man, as a woman, as a business person, get around people, go to networking events, go just meet people, throw yourselves out. Even if you're not the type to get up and stand and talk to a crowd, like just get out and go. I went, I said this, I'll be quiet. I went to, there's this group called Toastmasters. I don't know if you heard of them or not. I went because I wanted to get my public speaking game right. Because I feel like I don't like the way I talk. Like, I don't know. I talk fast. I talk jumbled up. And the one piece of information I got from that, I didn't even speak, not one time. But this dude came to us after and he was like, yo, basically like the reason that people use words like and is because we're uncomfortable with silence. And so we try to fill it up. They're like filler words. Whereas when you say something and you give it room to breathe, it has more of an impact. When you say something and you pause, it shows that you have control of the room. So that simple statement that he made, and this was like last week. No, this was Tuesday. No, what's today? Yeah, this was last Tuesday. Simple statement changed the entire way that I maneuver through these networking spaces. I don't like I used to feel like I have to talk more to give you more value, but now I realize I say more when I say less, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like again, when you put yourself in these spaces and these places, even going to DC with y'all, like being in a room full of millionaires at a time where I'm making $500 every 2 weeks, it's uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. But would I change it? No, I needed to be there. And whoever is listening to this and you don't believe in yourself just yet, like you don't know, you need to be in those spaces too, because it's gonna force you to say, yo, I gotta do something. Like I can take my life to another level. I'm in control of my own life. So. Yeah, I'm talking about. But yeah, that's my advice.